Hi guys, Toby here with a new video, and this video will be a review on the changes on the PTR for 10.0.5 for Elemental Shaman and Enhancement Shaman. As you may know, I am a Shaman main. I play both spec and I enjoy both specs for what it is. So I try to not be too critique in my own gameplay time, but I do critique on discussion videos or just videos in general to challenge a bit of the thought process for a lot of people. And Enhancement Shaman has been reworked, and Elemental Shaman got a bigger rework out of this patch. But there's a lot of things to discuss, so let's discuss right away. The Shaman tree, the Shaman in general, hasn't been changed too much, but you will all have new Ascendance models. So that is going to be bound to happen in 10.5, and I guess you can also go to the barber and change it like the feral forms, where you can like change the hair, for example, whatever, from the Ascendance models, which is cool. Again, it's a big CD, and it should be flashy, it should be nice to use. Now it will also be able to float on water. You have updated spell visuals for Lava Burst, and Primordial Wave icon has been updated. Farseer has a few changes for Elemental Shaman and Restoration Shaman, but I think it's mostly Elemental Shaman here. Elemental Blast from Ancestors now prioritize your most recently attacked target when possible, and Ancestors now prefer to Chain Lightning your target when you cast Chain Lightning or the target version of Earthquake. And Ancestors are now summoned equipped with a Historic Shaman set instead of being naked. So there is that. Stormbringer, there's a few changes. There's a lot of changes actually. So now you have a new talent, Lightning Conduit. You have a chance to get struck by lightning. You know what? What I can do is show you on the tree, which is probably easier to understand. So we have the Stormbringer tree for Enhancement Shaman. The Elemental Shaman tree is also a bit changed, but not too much because it's kind of the same. So we have Tempest still. We still have the Stormcaller crits that you get from Stormbringer. You have now Arc Discharge at all times, where Tempest makes your next Chain Lightning or Lightning Bolt instant cast. So it's like baseline. If you hit 1 or 2 or 3 targets, it's always the case. And it's also going to deal 40% increased damage. In PvP, it will be 20%. You will also read that a bit further down the line. And costs an additional time. It does not consume Maelstrom weapon stacks, and it will also not consume anything for Elemental Shaman, obviously. That's a cool thing, again. I like that. It will deal some okay damage, but since it doesn't consume Maelstrom weapon stacks, it will also not do insane damage either. It will be doing like baseline damage, kinda. A bit less, like for example, you are consuming 2 Maelstrom stacks pretty much, but it is instant. You still have Conductive Energy, which is fine. And you still have Awakening Storms, which has been nerfed by 35%, I think, or 25%. You will also read that on the patch notes for for Enhancement Shamans. So that kind of sucks. But Enhancement Shamans have an easier time to proc it because we also Storm Strike a lot, Lightning Bolt a lot, Chain Lightning a lot. So again, 5 procs per minute. It is realistic. One thing you need to note, Stormbringer now is literally, like, if you're not playing Storm build with Enhancement Shaman, you kind of throwing. It was already the case, but now it's even more. As you may see, like, again, a lot of things are going to go to that direction. While Totemic has another approach, which I'm going to talk about it as well. So we have Lightning Conduit now, so you have a chance to get struck by lightning. I don't know what the chance is, and I don't know what procs the chance. So I guess it's like at all times you get like a lightning conduit on you, and you get like 50% increased movement speed, or 100% if you're like outdoors, which is like World PvP, for example. I kind of like it, but you have also the safe bet, which is Tempest giving you movement speed. But I think 50% movement speed is quite nice for Enhancement Shaman, which are actually lackluster in like everything combined with mobility, right? You have Rolling Thunder still, which is still like this. It's one of the best talents out there because it improves your nature damage, and that is really, really good. We have also now Surging Currents, which has been reworked. So before it was like making it instant and not costing any mana, which is interesting. But now it gives you an increased effectiveness on Healing Surge, which is fine. It's something that we can appreciate. And since you can cast Tempest, you will get like increased effectiveness, but obviously you're not going to cast 5 Tempests in a row before doing a Healing Surge, so that's not going to happen. We have unlimited power, spending maelstrom weapon stacks grants you still 1% haste, so that is still unchanged. But now you have a choice node with the refunds. So if you are playing around elemental blast a bit instead of lightning bolts, you can still play around that with storm swell. I still think elemental blast is not worth it in most cases because you have awakening storms, you have your tempest, you have your refunds on your storm tree, storm build tree for enhancement shaman. So I still think mastery is quite cool, but it will depend on how much. You can't really see that right now. I think it's like 5% to be fair, but we'll have to see. I still will play supercharge though. I think it's really cool to have refunds. And then chain lightning damage increased by 50%. So I think in general, chain lightning is always going to be nice in like AoE situations where you hit 3 targets. But like if you have like 2 targets, I would always do lightning bolts in PvP because it will do good damage and it will be enough for having great damage. Those are the changes for Stormbringer. Obviously, it's not everything, right? We have on the enhancement shaman tree some good changes here and there. And there are changes that are still not live on the tree because I see a few things that are on the patch notes. For example, I'm going to show you. I've said everything from the Stormbringer tree here. And we also have enhancement shaman now, awakening storms damage reduced by 35%, but it is now affected by mastery, so they really want you to play around mastery. Kind of sucks though, because I like haste. But I guess having 35% mastery would then compensate the nerf. But I guess it's an overall buff if you actually went overboard with mastery. But it feels a bit bad to play mastery with storm build, in my opinion. Now, let's go to enhancement shaman tree. And then I'm going to talk about the elemental shaman tree, right? So there are a few things that are not present on the tree, which is lightning spark. That's new. So chain lightning marks enemies with lightning spark and has a chance to make your next flame shock become tremor shock. And tremor shock instantly shocks up to 6 lightning sparks targets with concussive force, causing nature damage and applying flame shock. That's a great AoE talent, I would say, for Mythic Plus or raiding or whatever you're doing, like multi-targets. So that could be nice, but I don't see it on the tree. So that's the only thing I don't see on the tree. So I wanted to point it out. So it's not, it's again, it has to be implemented. I think it will be like a choice node somewhere or it will be placed somewhere, but I don't see it on the tree right now. The few changes I see right now are that we have now Doom Winds being interesting and very interesting actually. Doom Winds has now a AoE effect tied to it. So unleash a devastating storm around yourself, dealing 75% attack power, storm strike damage, You see how it's kind of weird how they do something? For example, you have storm strike damage on Doom Winds, but you don't have storm strike damage on storm strike. Anyways, food for thought. Storm strike damage, cool, which means that it is augmented by mastery, your nature damage, your nature feral spirits. Those are going to increase your damage, and it's like 1 second to nearby enemies for 8 seconds. So you can say 75% times 8, which is around 540% attack power total. And the damage is going to be okay, dare I say, but it's not going to be a reason why you're doing that, right? But it's good for PvE. And also some occasions where you like some damage whenever you're doing your burst. Increases your chance to activate Wind Fury weapon by 200% and the damage of Wind Fury weapon by 10%. Now, I don't remember correctly how it is, so I'm going to go on the talent trees for enhancement shaman, the normal talent tree. Is it still 200%? It is 200%, so it is the same, but you have not only one strike, it has multiple strikes. So that is a change. It is a good change, I guess. It's a buff, obviously. Especially since it's storm strike damage, it will do more damage than what it does on live. Especially on live, it's 75% physical damage, so it's less than even like an auto attack kind of. But it's interesting, right? I kind of like it. I wish that it still changed Wind Fury weapon to be a offhand imbue as well, but it is what it is. You have obviously a few changes that are interesting. For example, elemental weapons now is a 1-point node, which gives you like 10% increases frost, nature, and fire damage whenever you have like imbues on both weapons. So it's 5%, 5%. That's a buff because it doesn't reduce the value, but it reduces the node that you have to spend, which is always welcome. Now, Stormbringer talent has been changed to Storm Surge. So the part where you do reset your Storm Strike, that is now Storm Surge. You have Thundering, which is still there, but now you have a new talent, which is Molten Thunder. It will depend on the power of the talent. I probably will not play that in PvP, but the cooldown of Thundering is now reduced by 10 seconds, but it can no longer incapacitate. The issue with that is you use Thundering sometimes to stop a cast. So Storm Surge has a small chance, so that's the part of your mastery, has a small chance to also reset the cooldown of Thundering. The issue is with small chances, we don't know what the value is, but also it's already a small chance to reset the cooldown of your Storm Strike, so it's even smaller to do Thundering. So my opinion is to not play that talent, to probably stick with a Swirling Maelstrom, Storm Flurry, Crash Lightning, and your Converging Storms, and even put like an extra point into Lava Lash to get like another like spender if you want to. The thing that is now super important is that Ice Strike now, it is a suggestion I've made in the past. You can look up the videos I've made about the ideas I would bring for Enhancement Shaman to remove the button bloat. They finally did it. So whenever you spend Maelstrom Weapon, your Frost Shock has a chance to become Ice Strike. Now, how big is this chance? That will depend on the proc per minute kind of thing. But now you will have less button bloat. Your Ice Strike will only be available and it will replace your Frost Shock. So it means that you will have less keybinds needed to have the result that you want. It would actually be the same. It will depend on how often it actually procs. If it's like every 12 seconds, every 14 seconds, like realistic combat where you actually like spend Maelstrom Weapon, then it becomes interesting because then you have like just a CD less to, like a keybind less to spend. But it could also be like back to back, so it could be interesting to have like multiple Frost Shocks dealing multiple like great damage. But again, it's the same talent, it has the same utility, improving your Frost Shock, and there is no reason to Ice Strike without actually improving your Frost Shock damage, because itself doesn't do too much damage. The good thing is about Ice Strike is also that it uses your main hand weapon, so it also procs your Wind Fury, so that's a thing that also is into account. So again, that is for the Storm build, by the way. So this is a Storm build. So now you have Ascendance that is unchanged, but the good thing is about Ascendance now is they removed the 20% increased damage on Lightning Bolt and Chain Lightning, but you have now Thorium's Invocation that is reducing the cooldown of Ascendance now by 2 minutes. 2-minute Ascendance is big. I don't know if you realize it is actually big, because what you can do now is play Ascendance in Soul Shuffle, proc Ascendance directly, and then you can have your 2-minute go where people have less CDs, people have already spent CDs on your allies, for example, and at that moment, after 2 minutes, you have another go where you're unstoppable. It's kind of the same as Balance Druids that are playing with Celestial Alignment, and they have like 2-minute goes, kind of, and the 2-minute go after the first 2-minute go is actually very lethal. This would be the same. There is also a part of deeply rooted elements. Again, if you are a fan of that, I like deeply rooted elements. I just think it's very RNG. It's very annoying to play with. Sometimes it doesn't proc at all for a whole match. And sometimes it procs like back to back, where you literally are a god for like 15 seconds straight because you got like 2 deeply rooted elements back to back. But this is now a improvement of Thorium Invocation as well. So now it lasts 2 seconds longer, which is in fact very good. So instead of like having a 6-second Ascendance, it would be 8 seconds, which results to around 3 or 4 Wind Strikes. And you can also like do some healing and some Lightning Bolts without like losing a lot of value, but also gives you the time to do Doom Winds with like Heroism, for example, or Shamanism, depending on Horde or Alliance, and do like big like Bloodlust or Heroism, which gives you like big occasions to like end the game very fast. Obviously, it will depend on procs, but it is what it is. They changed the icon from Primordial Wave, interestingly, but Primal Maelstrom has been nerfed. So it's written 5 to 10 stacks. It is not the case anymore. You can see it here, I think somewhere, Primal Maelstrom here. Primal Maelstrom now causes Primordial Wave to generate 3/5 stacks if Maelstrom weapon was 5/10. So off. That's a mistake from the writer. It's off Maelstrom weapon, and it was 5 to 10. So I would never play this talent anymore. Maybe with the Lava Lash build, like Elementalist build, but even then I think it's not that strong anymore. If it's only 5 stacks, like you cannot really just do like a Primordial Wave Lightning Bolt. You kind of want to have at least 8 Maelstrom to do some good damage. So yeah, the Storm Elemental Assault is still like interesting because Storm Strike damage increase, which is always nice. Feral Spirits unchanged. It's still nerfed in PvP, unfortunately. But they have put a choice node, which is really depending on how big the value is on Flowing Spirits. Flowing Spirits is now damaging abilities have a chance to summon a Feral Spirit. I don't know if you guys can see whenever I'm like showing you guys. I think you can. Your damaging abilities have a chance to summon a Feral Spirit for 8 seconds. Now, it looks good, but it's a 200 ms cooldown. So 200 ms, it's 2 seconds. And it really depends on how big the chance is. If it's like you're proccing every 5 seconds, every 10 seconds, then it looks good. If it's proccing every 30 seconds, it looks very bad, because I do feel like Wishlist's accessory is just, well, way better. But also, it decreases the chance to gain a stack of Maelstrom weapons. So you actually want that for a lot of stuff based on Maelstrom weapon stacks, right? Having a bit more luck on that gives you also the occasions to do more damage with your Lightning Bolts, Elemental Blast, Chain Lightning, or whatever you're using, right? Tempests. It got nerfed though, so now the cooldown of Feral Spirits is reduced by 1 second instead of 2. So there is a world where you do play with Flowing Spirits. I will have to test it though. It could be that it's really a dud and you don't want to play that because it does proc like not enough times. But your damaging abilities, like it's everything, like Flame Shock, Frost Shock, Lightning Bolts itself, Storm Strikes, Lava Lash, everything, right? So there is a chance where it's very good, but there's also a chance that it's really bad, like uptime wise. So we'll have to see. For now, I'll just play with Witch Doctor's Ancestry, and I would then just pick 1.2 Legacy of the Frost Switch. If I was playing with Primordial Wave, chances are I will not play with that. I will be playing Legacy of the Frost Switch to get even more physical damage dealing abilities increased, which is also my Doom ones. Now that is a Storm Strike, which is quite interesting to play around that. So we'll have to see. So that would be the build, kinda. Again, I think Lava Lash is something depending on like if it's worth to have like a like keybind for that. You could also play with Molten Thunder, but again, like you kind of have to take that, or else you take Crashing Storms, because you still need to spend that point to go beyond. And right now, Molten Thunder looks not that good. I hope it actually like is a choice node for the Chain Lightning thing. Like a small chance means nothing for me. So those are the changes for Enhancement Shaman. Now let's talk about like changes like buffs and nerfs on a few things, right? For example, we have here the Torment's Invocation now no longer gives you increased damage on Chain Lightning or Lightning Bolt, so also not Tempest, which is a bit sad, and they don't compensate the damage loss as well. We have also here Chain Lightning now reduces the cooldown of Crash Lightning by 0.5 seconds for each target hit. It was 1 second, so that is a nerf. Range reduced on Crash Lightning and Molten Assault by 2 yards and 4 yards for Crash Lightning. Nerf on Primordial Maelstrom, already said that. We have nerf on WDA, so Witch Doctor's Ancestry, 1 second instead of 2. Flame Tongue weapon damage increased by 20%, so that's okay, but it's like doing no damage, so it will not matter too much. It is really pad over pad, like it's the pad of pad damage, right? It's not that good. Fire Nova is now unavailable when there are no Flame Shock targets within 40 yards, so that's a quality of life change for PvE, especially if you're doing PvE and you're doing Fire Novas. You hope to actually do something with it, and sometimes you're doing a Fire Nova, but there is no one that has a Flame Shock, so it kind of is useless. Mastery reset on Storm Strike no longer has a UI overlay, now displacing combat text. So those are like UI things, right? It really depends on how cool it is or how good it is. But what I see is that Wind Fury weapon now attacks now have an animation, a sound, and an impact visual effect. So that is a cool thing. Again, those are like quality of life changes or UI changes. Some people don't play with the UI from World of Warcraft or Blizzard, so it doesn't matter. But for me, Wind Fury weapon having an animation, a sound, or an impact visual effect is very important. So I will be testing it on the PTR once it's up. Right now it is not up, at least I cannot download it. Once I can download it, I will be also doing a video about the few changes, like really live, and how they are doing, right? Now let's talk about Totemic. That's the last thing I'm going to talk about for Enhancement Shaman, which has a lot of changes. So people that do play around Stormstrike with Totemic is no bueno anymore. You don't do that anymore. You know why? Because they changed a lot of stuff. Totemic Rebound now has nothing to do with Stormstrike. It is now Lightning Bolt and Shade Lightning and Elemental Blast that has a chance to unleash a Surging Bolt. That's good. I think Totemic now, to be a spoiler, it is Elementalist build. If you want to be Elementalist build, you want to play Totemic. There is no reason to now go Stormbringer, but also no reason to play Storm build with Totemic right now. You have Oversurge, still Ascendance, which is nerfed in PvP, but I guess you can make space for that now. It really depends, right? If you want to do like some big damage with your Sundering. You have Lively Totems, now they like, those two, you have Reactivity and Lively Totems. They have merged those two talents together. You have one totem now that gives you that, but now you have Reactivity, which is while Hot Hand is active, Lava Lash shatters the earth, causing Sundering at 30% effectiveness. Sundering does some okay damage, by the way. And now you have also your Whirling Elements, which gives you fire. Your next Lava Lash or Fire Nova grants you Hot Hands. So basically, and for 8 seconds. And it also adds up on what you have. If you have Hot Hands for 8 seconds and you get like the whirling mode, so the fire mode, and you're using it, you're going to get 16 seconds of Hot Hands, which is really good for the Mentalist build. Like, this kind of gives me like hope that they know what they're doing with Totemic. It just is like a bit clunky still. It still adds a keybind, but it is way better than before with just one Lava Lash crit, and if it doesn't crit, well, too bad for you. And why I say Stormstrike is not important anymore on this build is the air mode doesn't give you Stormstrike damage increase anymore. It does give you now your next Lightning Bolt, Chain Lightning, or Elemental Blast unleashes 3 Surging Bolts at your Surging Totem, which means that it becomes like 30% increased damage, which is good, but also deals some okay damage as well with those stacks. So you see that the direction of the Totemic is really to improve your Sundering, your Surging Totem as much as you can, to then do a Sundering to deal increased damage on the enemy with like a big splash damage, which is good. I like that. They also changed the Earth mode, which has nothing to do with Earth, by the way. So direct damage of your next Flame Shock is increased by 300%. Don't get impressed by that. It's only like 60% or 70% attack power in total if you're like accounting to that. It's not going to do impressive damage, but the increased thing on that is that it also is going to apply to 5 nearby enemies. So that's good for PvE. And for PvP, it depends on how many targets you're hitting. If you're in a cleave situation, it is really useless in like single targets, or in 3v3 versus Castle, for example, where they're really spread out. It's really useless, but it's a good, neat thing to have. It's better than the CDR reduction, in my opinion. What other changes? So Improvement Mastery as well. So now you have the part with Wind Fury is the same, but when Flame Tongue weapon triggers from Wind Fury weapon attacks, it has a chance to gather a whirl of flames around the target, dealing 100% of its damage to all nearby enemies 3 additional times. So that is for PvE. It's not going to be impressive damage, by the way. It's 100% of its damage of the trigger of Flame Tongue weapon. So it's not that impressive, guys. It's really low damage. It does 12k damage right now on live. So it will do 12k on everyone around you, which is not that like impressive, but it's good pad damage for PvE, obviously. For the rest, you have nothing else changed. Again, you would still play Earth Surge in my opinion, and try to do like a big Sundering once you have stacked it. So what am I going to say? I'm going to say that this is really for the Elementalist build. If you're playing like Lava Lash build with like Hot Hands, with your Lashing Flames, with your like everything, with your Ashen Catalyst, for example, you would be playing Totemic, and I think it will be feeling good. And it will be feeling that it is an improvement for your day-to-day, I would say, right? That's a good thing. Obviously, I would say that I would still want to have Surging Totem on my back. So that is why I'm actually like, I'm excited about it, but I'm not like that excited about it because they could literally put your Surging Totem on your back. It would be feeling way better. Like an aura, for example, I think it would be more fun to play around. It still is a keybind that you need to press as well, but it is what it is. Those are the changes for Totemic and for Enhancement Shaman. Now let's talk about Elemental Shaman really quickly. It is not going to be like massive. It is massive, but it is not that massive. So Elemental Shaman, what has changed? Stormbringer, like I said, everything has changed the same as Enhancement Shaman, but here, for example, you have Lightning Bolts being instants, which is really strong. If you think about it, your Stormkeeper augments in PvP 30% damage. It's not 150% in PvP, it is 30%. So it's doing 20% increased damage and instant is actually like having mini Stormkeepers, right? So it's actually very strong. And they also have the increased effectiveness on your healing is also going to be quite good because again, you are a hybrid. You wanna be dealing damage at all times. And healing at all times as well. You have still 50% of your chance to cause an additional elemental overload with lightning bolt, but also tempest and also chain lightning. But you could also could play around mastery as well, huh? So that is also an option. But the bigger changes are on the tree, right? So you have Earth Shock still there, Elemental Fury still there. You still have Aftershock, and now you have Stormkeeper way more above on the tree, which is interesting. So they really want you to play a Stormkeeper because again, you really want to have Primordial Fury. So you will have to take Stormkeeper regardless. It is a good thing still, but know that if you don't want to play around Stormkeeper, it's not possible anymore. Fire Elemental, obviously nothing changes there, and Earthquake, and your Flash of Lightning, which is increasing your critical strike chance of Lightning Bolt. And now you have a few changes, right? Now you have Fury of the Storms, which is now a lot higher, and it's a choice node. Either you're going to reduce the CD of Stormkeeper with Lightning Bolts, or you're going to play around the Lightning Elemental, which is very powerful. It does damage, so don't sleep on that, which is cool. And I do feel like it works also with Elemental Unity, if I'm not mistaken. It might not work. I didn't test it actually. I didn't look it up, but it could work together. But it is what it is. We have still Flames of the Cauldron, which is something very important in my opinion, and Primordial Fury. So now you have still the same build kinda, although you have Stormkeeper way higher. You would still play with improved Flame Tongue. You would play with Power of the Maelstrom. You still will play with Echo Chamber, in my opinion. And in my opinion, Earth Shock is very important. I will be making a guide, by the way, I think tonight or even tomorrow. But it will be probably updated for 11.0.5, which is in November. Swelling Maelstrom is important because you want to Maelstrom, but also the 5% increased damage on Earthshock. Like, Earthshock hurts a lot, so you kind of want that right now. Here you have Storm Frenzy, which is interesting because they also reduce the GCD on it. So you see on the patch notes, I will show you as well. So it is going to feel a lot better to use. You have your Ice Fury, which, like, those two are nerfed in reality for PvP, and they're even more nerfed here. So yeah, it will depend. But the good thing is about Ice Fury now, it also is giving you a chance to get that with Lightning Bolt, Lava Burst, and Chain Lightning. Before it was only Lava Burst, so you have a bit more chance to proc it. And it stacks up to 2 times as well, so again, Fusion of Elements, I would say also, and I would say Flux Melting. Now you have a bit more choices. Primordial Wave is still there, you still need. I would say Splintered Elements is still going to be interesting to play around. Magma Chamber is kind of a have to because your Earthshock just hurt a lot. But Ascendance has been reworked, so now Ascendance, whenever you're proccing it, it is going to cast a Flame Shock and a 100% effectiveness Lava Burst at up to 6 nearby enemies. So it will spread Flame Shocks, but also do 6 Lava Bursts at minimum. While Ascended, Elemental Overload damage is increased by 150%, and spells affected by your Mastery Elemental Overload causes 1 additional Elemental Overload, which is big. It is massive, by the way. But it doesn't improve your Elemental Blast, your Lava Burst anymore. So crit doesn't matter anymore. You should probably never build crit anymore until they change it back. But right now, crit doesn't give you anything like damage wise to lava burst, except if they change the lava burst itself, but it was not written. I'm going to look it up right now. It is not affected by crit, so it will not give you more damage on crit, unfortunately. You can reduce it, the CD. I think you will be reducing the CD because you really want to be spreading your damage ASAP. So you don't need to play Liquid Magma in a totem anymore. It's still going to be quite good because again, it's like instantly applying flame shocks, and it's every 30 seconds. So it's quite nice. But you have also a new talent which is increasing the duration of flame shock by 6 seconds. And also, Lava Burst will consume up to 3 seconds of Flame Shock instantly. So it can deal some pretty hefty damage. So I'm going to take that as well. And I would say that Primal Elementalist is still the way to go. And then you have like Deeply Rooted Elements, which has also been changed. So casting Earth Shock, Elemental Blast, or Earthquake has 7% chance to activate Ascendance for 6 seconds. So no longer Lava Burst. I think Deeply Rooted Elements is now just bait, because you don't Earth Shock that often to proc Ascendance. It's not going to happen. They need to put Lava Burst again in that tooltip, because else Deeply Rooted Elements is probably meant to be failing very hard. I'll be still playing Elemental Equilibrium because it's very easy to apply with your Primordial Wave. And the rest, you have Lightning Rod, which is still there, but it's also being increased with a talent which is the duration by 4 seconds and increasing the damage bonus by 25 seconds. So now you have also a bit more choices. Where do you want to put the talents here and there? But the big change is still going to come really, really quickly. So I would take, for example, Eye of the Storm. I would take Earth Shatter to get even more damage on your Earth Shock. But you could always like say, look, I just want to have Liquid Magma Totem, or look, I want to have like the smaller elemental if I want to, or look, I want to be playing with Lightning Rod. You can choose. But I would say that Magma Totem is a good one. The reduced Maelstrom is also a good one. You have multiple good ones. But the big change is you don't have Volcanic Surge anymore. So the talent that is increasing your Lightning Bolt and your Lava Burst is gone. And there is no compensation on your Lava Burst damage, or nor also on your Lightning Bolt. So I'm actually afraid if they forget about that, they need to buff Lightning Bolts and Lava Burst by a bit, at least in PvP, because it was a talent that was taken by the vast majority because it actually adds up a lot of damage. Now you have builds that were not playing with Volcanic Surge. I was playing without it, and I was playing with it, depending on what hero talents I was playing. And I kind of hope they are going to give you a bit more damage around your Lightning Bolt and your Lava Burst, because it actually is very important to have it, because also you're not going to do a lot of damage like single target, right? It's like AoE damage is alright, but single target, it's not that good. So again, those are the changes for Elemental Shaman. Let's read the few changes that they made, like on like buffs and nerfs. Frost Shock damage increased by 30%, but they nerfed the buff from Ice Fury, so now it's 150% Frost Shock damage instead of 225. And it's only one Frost Shock as well empowered, and now causes Frost Shock to hit 4 additional targets, so it's an AoE talent kinda. Liquid Magma Totem now generates 8 Maelstrom, which is always nice, and Ice Fury now causes Frost Shock to generate an additional 7 Maelstrom. You have Flash of Lightning no longer reduces the cooldown of nature spells when Lightning Bolt and Chain Lightning are casted. Fire Elemental and Storm Elemental are now 20 seconds long instead of 30 seconds, so that's a big nerf. Lesser elements from Echo Elements now last 10 seconds instead of 15. Storm Frenzy has a reduction on their cast time by 10%, so it will 30% instead of 40%, but also now also reduces the global cooldown of its associated spells, so now it will be a bit more smoother to use. Fury of the Storms now summons a powerful lightning elemental for 10 seconds instead of 8 seconds, so that's a buff. Primordial Wave, which is big, gives you a Lava Surge, so you can actually play without ancestral swiftness, I guess, but you will still be playing that because it's always nice to have an ancestral whenever you're playing Farseer. Lightning Conduit renamed to Lightning Capacitator, and fixed an issue causing the tooltip of improved Flame Tongue weapon to be incorrected when talent into enhanced imbues. The following talents have been reduced, so Skybreaker's Fire Demise is probably the biggest one, and then Unrelenting Calamity as well. And we have a few changes on the Farseer tree, but I don't want to like talk too much about it because it's like 2 changes really, which are very like, it's simple changes, right? So routine communication now also triggers from lightning bolt, chain lightning, and also ice fury and frost shock, and it has now a 5% chance to call an ancestor instead of 8%. I think in general it would be the same, but most people are playing the duration instead of like the increased chance. So we'll have to see. Overall, those are the changes. Now let's talk about PvP. The PvP changes on Elemental Shaman. Elemental Overlord's damage bonus from Ascendancy is reduced by 50% PvP combat. So that is to compensate the increased effect from Ascendance that you got. Damage of Lava Burst fired when entering Ascendancy is reduced by 50%, so it is not going to be a 100% Lava Burst that is going to be thrown out by by Ascendance proc. It will be a 50% Lava Burst. It's still going to be very strong. Don't get it wrong. Lightning Bolt and Chain Lightning damage bonus from Arcane Discharge is reduced by 50%. Like I said, it is not a 40% buff, it is a 20% buff in PvP. And Volcanic Surge has been removed, unfortunately. And Enhancement Shadow has the same change for Stormbringer. Now, what are my opinions about it? It was already a very long video, but hopefully you are having a bit more context. My opinion is Stormbringer can be interesting for Elemental Shaman, but since Volcanic Surge has been gone, I don't know if it's going to be good. So we'll have to test. Farseer is going to be the go-to probably, because it is just like that much better, giving you increased damage of Lava Burst. Spirit Walker's Momentum is great. Final Calling is great. You have either your increased duration or your chance on, depends on what you want. You have increased Maelstrom, which is great. You have increased damage on Earthshock, which is hitting for a lot. Ancestral Swiftness is still very strong. You have either more powerful or a chance on calling another Ancestor. Most people are picking the more powerful one. When an Ancestor is called, they reduce the cooldown of Fire Elemental, which is only 10 or 20 seconds, depending on, again, the duration and how many times you're using Ancestral Swiftness in between those Fire Elemental goes. And then you have also Natural Harmony or Earth and Communion, depending on what you want and depending on your play style. I would say that is probably the go-to for Elemental Shaman. I think it is a status quo on a lot of stuff, but I think it's an overall positive. Now, is it going to stay like this? I don't know. It's still very early though, but I wanted to like show you the changes on the PTR, so maybe you are going to be excited. I'm actually excited for Enhancement Shaman. I don't know if the builds are going to be changing too much though, because it's not really a rework, it is like a semi-rework. I think Elemental Shaman got the bigger end of the stick, like rework-wise. For some reason they get reworks upon reworks, but we Enhancement Shaman still have to wait a lot. So I think Storm Strike needs to be Storm Strike damage, because it is literally called Storm Strike, but that's my opinion again. Thank you for watching this video, really I appreciate you. Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't done that yet, and we will catch you all probably in the next video. Have a great day. Bye.